You are now booted up and online. We are now in control of your primary operating system. You have chosen the AutoExec.Bat podcast. This show is a fan tribute to AMC's Halt and Catch Fire TV show. Not listening is an illegal operation and will result in a program process error.
Shall we play a game?
Hello everyone, my name is Dave, and today we are talking about our Halt and Catch Fire podcast, and we're talking about the episode Working for the Clampdown. On the show today we've got Jesse.
Hello there.
And Matt.
Greetings.
So what I didn't tell you guys before we started recording was I got an offer from this oil company podcast, and they're offering to give us $500 million for our podcast, but we've got to wear suits and we've got to, of course, clock in every day and be kind of business drones. So what do you guys think? Should we do it?
Boy, that is the crux of the story. And I cannot wait to talk about this with you too, because, well, first off, I'm going to say yes, because I'm a money grubbing, person of ill repute. So I would take the money.
All right, Matt, what's your vote?
Probably take the money too, as long as I could get control over everything.
Yeah, see, I figure with that much money I can buy, really comfortable suits. We could do handmade, tailored suits, not something off the rack. It would be just really, really comfortable cloth and would fit you perfectly. Not like, one of the problems I have with the suit is I look like a kid dressed up for Easter every time I wear one.
All right, well, you guys are sellouts. This is
yes,
my
we are.
It's my podcast. We're not selling.
Very nice.
90% of the podcast, I take it.
Yes, you own 90%.
Possession, 9/10 of the law.
So I'm going to get us off on a tangent right away because that's what I do. But is anyone else sitting there trying to figure out the math? Okay, if Cameron owns 90%, and she says they're going to give them shares of the company, like, are there less than 10 people working there so they can give 1% to each, or are they giving them 5% of, a half of a percent of the company, and really Donna doesn't get anything more? And I can understand John not getting anything because he was late, but it seems that 90% seemed to bother me a little bit. Anyone else, the math, or am I overthinking this?
No, it bothered me a lot. They basically just made everybody else's shares worthless. They have no stake in the company at all.
Yeah, and I mean, I get the idea, and that a small percentage of a whole lot of money is a whole lot of money, right? But It does seem a little strange that she would own that bulk of it. And maybe there are that few of people that she can give 1% to everyone.
And I don't understand is how did Donna agree to it? Like, does Donna not have any stock options?
Yeah, that I kind of I agree the same thing. Like, well, how much does she have? Is she doing this just because she wants to be part of it? It just seems a little weird.
It was definitely weird, and it was kind of shocking too.
Yeah, Dave, how about you? Are we overthinking this, or are you right there with us?
No, I mean, the offer was, what, $5 million? Do I remember that right? Yeah, so, I mean, in 85 terms, $5 million, I mean, just $5 million right now would be crazy. But, in 1985, that would be just absolutely insane. Yeah, I don't know about the math, I mean, if everyone in there gets 1% of, the 5 million, then, of course, that's a very compelling, thought process.
Yeah,
but I would understand the hesitation to say no, because you've gone into this company to do something that you're excited to be a part of. But as soon as it becomes commercialized or it becomes big business, it's no longer fun and games. It's no longer throwing wacky wall walkers, you
All
know,
right.
on the wall and playing Nerf
Yeah.
guns and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So, Dave, I don't want us to get to that yet.
Right.
Like I'm running it. What I'm just saying is the math doesn't work out. Forget he said everyone who currently works there is going to get 1%. So they would all get $50,000, which is, as you said, right now is a lot of money. Forget what it is then. But I just don't understand what percentage Cameron has promised to them that has them working for no money. Because if she's kept 90%, that means they're splitting that 10% among a whole lot of people. So I think that was Matt and I's concern of that math just doesn't seem to fit.
Right.
No, it doesn't fit at all.
Yeah.
And I can see your level of concern because, with all that Donna's been involved in, what is her cut?
Yeah.
If anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So, okay, very cool. I'm just glad it wasn't just me. So, okay, now that I've taken us off on a tangent, Dave, it's your podcast again. Get us started on the discussion.
Well, I mean, the first thing in my notes was Gordon was telling Donna about his brain damage. So that was kind of refreshing to see that finally we had that big secret revealed. And him coming to be honest about by the way, here's this problem, but sure, he downplayed it so that it wasn't as big of a deal than it probably is. Yeah, it was good to see that finally that came full circle where at least some secrets are being revealed.
Yeah, I was glad to see that. He kind of skipped off the part that when she talked about going to California, that he. Yeah, and by the way, I slept with the girlfriend of my brother. And I liked how they did that. I liked how they were showing images of their house. And, she's like, I don't understand the words that you're saying. They're just hearing this. And he is trying to downplay it. We see that maybe he shouldn't be downplaying it, that this may be worse than he thinks it is. What do you think of the big reveal, Matt?
It was. I think it was needed. It was just a nice way to kick off the episode. It's pretty much by the book. Overall, it wasn't terribly shocking. It wasn't terribly. I'm not sure. It was a nice reveal to start it. I think it played out later in the episode better.
Well, while we're talking about Gordon, there's a lot of similarities around what he's doing to a little-known company called Dell. I don't know if you guys are familiar with kind of how they got started.
Yeah.
But,
they did. I thought that too.
Yeah. So a lot of, and in fact, I looked up kind of the origins of Dell just to make sure that the similarities were there. And it was actually, Dell was created in 1984. It was in a student in the University of Texas at Austin. In his dorm room, he sold IBM PC-compatible computers built from stock components. He dropped out of school to focus full-time on that fledgling business after getting $1,000 in capital from his family. And then by 1 year later, 1985, they produced the first computer of its own design, which sold for $795 at the time. And they advertised in national computer magazines, much like Gordon's company is going to be doing. And the company grossed more than $73 million its first year of operation.
Custom ordered PCs too. They're not
right.
They're not just off the shelf computers. You actually have to pick out all the parts to it.
Right, and that's kind of still how Dell operates. Because in my real life world, I had in a while ago I was in charge of putting together purchase requisitions for the computers that we're ordering for our division. And you still go to the website and you still pick, I want this type of processor. I want this much memory. I want this much of a hard drive. So, I mean, the Dell model still works to this day. And, so a lot of what Gordon was designing or setting up, is spot on for the way it still goes.
And not to bore our listeners with too much business speak, but unless they have changed, and I don't think they have, it's even cooler than that. Dell tells their vendors that they have to be within a certain distance from them, and they, unlike Gordon buying, all these, parts, Dell doesn't buy the parts till they need it. So therefore, if memory drops, they aren't stuck with they had bought memory at a higher price. So all their suppliers are there in Round Rock, Austin. And so when you place that order today, they get together that night, place an order with their suppliers. The parts are delivered the next day, and Dell does not own the parts till it hits their dock. They assemble it. I was lucky enough to go to a Round Rock, the facility, watching their assembly line. And it was creepy and cool all at the same time, just to watch these people in a cage, looking to see, oh, yep, this is what they need, and built it, and then they ship it out. So they have, and that model is one of the reasons why they're able to be so competitive. And you can design that PC exactly the way you want it. And it's a fascinating model.
So in this particular case, rather than the Dell computer being the computer giant that it is, we'll have the Gordon computer.
Yes.
So,
provided he is brain doesn't go dumb. Yes.
Hashtag save Gordon.
Yes.
He said it was the Clark computer. It's not the Gordon computer.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. The Clark Bar computer. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now that we bored everybody with the history of Dell.
Yes, I'm sorry. But I thought it was interesting.
No. I wanted to share that. So
thank you. I'm glad you did.
Full disclosure, I actually worked for Dell back in the 90s.
Oh, very, very nice.
What'd you do for
it?
I worked in there boxing up the computers, and I was put in charge of final testing the computers.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I worked for a company that was a service provider for Dell, so we had field technicians all over the United States that went out and repaired Dell PCs that were under warranty. And I will tell you, this isn't a commercial for Dell, but our field technicians fixed everything. They worked for, Compaq. They did, PCs bought by Best Buy, Gateway, all the different things. And our technicians always said the Dells were the best designed, easier to fix. So there we go, for what it's worth. That's what you get when you get this podcast. Exactly. You never know what's going to cover.
All right, so let's switch gears. We're going to talk about the mutiny crew throwing their wacky wall walkers and betting each other about which one's going to hit the ground first. So we had Kang against Dr. Doom. Or not, it was Kang, Dr. Doom, and then I think it was Black Spider-Man was kind of what was betting, if I remember right, the figures.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Secret War figures.
Yes, yep. It was. It was very funny. And I think to Joe's credit, he understands that mentality and that culture is what's driving this. And he doesn't want to destroy it, right? He just wants to make it better.
Which is kind of why he was suggesting the whole mini campus concept. Kind of like your fledgling Google, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that scene there where they're just throwing the wacky wall walkers and then betting. And this is the type of company I'd like to work for, because we tend to get too much into the corporate, business side of things, and, to be able to take a break and have that kind of fun would be appealing. What do you think, Matt?
My only problem was that the last couple episodes, they haven't shown actually anybody doing any work.
This is true.
I'm wondering about, what is going on? They're just kind of skating by, and everybody's just in community, so they don't have to do anything.
they brainstorm, they get ideas, but you never really see a lot of the, programmers sitting around coding and just like entrenched, with the Jolt Cola and the cold pizza and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. How do they get things done?
I don't know.
Just seems like a big kegger right there. So the line by Joe where he says, "Games are the innovative lifeblood of this company." I thought that was a really cool quote by him, because at least, as we were alluding to, he's acknowledging the fact of the community culture and the laid back, and he doesn't want to, by all purposes, look like he wants to squash that.
No, and I think he's kind of throwing back to the first episode where he realizes that the whole focus of Mutiny was Cameron creating a game, and the community part was just something that was kind of tacked on after the fact, but she was always focused on the games, and he knows that, and he's just trying to protect that part for her.
Obviously, as the show progresses, he's advising her to do something different, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But, so you're saying that even when he was trying to get her to join the oil company or sign off and, so they could buy the company, he was well aware of, that the gaming, aspect of it wouldn't be center stage?
No, I think he was always knew that they were going to keep gaming center stage. That was his ultimate goal, was to always keep the gaming functioning and improving and making more money, I guess. His whole idea was never just to make a community AOL type thing.
So a lot of it around the fun aspect of the of what Mutiny was doing.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about Cameron, giving taking the offer and giving her rally speech to all the programmers and then ripping the offer up?
How Joe-like. That's kind of, I can't remember. I think there was a scene in the first season where Joe does the same thing, but they're a mirror of each other almost. They're so much alike, it's just disturbing to a point. But she did that on purpose just to get everybody riled up and to kind of show Joe that no means no.
I know that you don't have strong opinion about Cameron, but she by far is my favorite character, and that just kind of really showcased, what I was expecting from her, and the finally being able to see her, I don't know, just take Mutiny and live up to the name.
Yeah, but the whole thing that we were just talking about is that she owns 90% of the company, and that's just plain evil to me.
But in a lot of ways, it was her vision, it was her sweat.
Yeah, but she demeaned her entire staff that she brought over from Cardiff.
Yeah, and especially
I've been there with her since the beginning, and
she's not paying them.
Yeah.
I know I keep going back to that, but she's not paying them. I do think it was cool to see her at the end, right? I assume that's what you guys are, Sorry.
What we're talking about, the speech she gave to to rally the troops
at the beginning.
Yeah, where she's got the offer letter, she stands up on the desk and lets everybody know we've got this offer, and then she gives a rally speech, and then everybody's mutiny.
Well, and I tweeted before we started that was her best Joe impersonation, because she's manipulating the facts. She's using half-truths and exaggerations, to kind of sway the guys to follow her lead. And a lot of what she said was just flat untrue. And I liked how the show showed that, right? Where, we show Joe talking to Joseph and saying, hey, this is what we should do, and we want to keep that culture, and I won't even ever have to wear a jacket and tie again. And she twisted all around. There's a phrase, don't let your money get mad. And in this case, before we get the end, let's just talk about as I'm watching this episode. I say you're letting your money get mad. You're letting the fact that it's Joe stop you from listening. Because, like Donna said, I'm not saying we take the deal. I just want to know more details.
Yeah, but for Cameron, everything about this, mutiny is personal. As you said, it was her blood, sweat, and tears. And she's the one that's, it was her vision. It was her, beginning of it. And so she took a page from Joe's book and threw it back in his face. Okay, so be it. But I don't think that she's, when she's doing her speech and rallying the troops, she's thinking, I'm doing this because I got 90% and I've got no worries. I think she's, to her, it's very personal. It's not about the money.
So I think it's because she's a very selfish character. She doesn't care that the other people are not getting any money. Money isn't important to her. She's living there. She's scraping by somehow. So she doesn't care about any of the people because this is her baby, and she can't think beyond that. I have a responsibility to these people. I've kind of had I've sold them. I've kind of talked the talk, and now then I need to. When I make a decision, I can't be selfish anymore. I have to think about these people's lives that have put their faith in me. And she's too selfish to think that way.
Well, as the episode progresses, yeah, she's kind of changing her tune and thinking that out more. But, from at the beginning of the episode, she's obviously taking it from, it's a personal thing. It's not business.
Yeah, I absolutely. And it's really, and this is consistent with the character. She is a selfish character. She wants to do things her way. She doesn't want to adjust. And I just.
She's the worst business person ever.
Huh?
It sounds like I give Cameron way more credit than you guys do.
Yeah,
she's the worst. I mean, if you got offered $5 million, okay, she wants to make games. She could take the deal. She gets $4.5 million. I mean, come on.
And
then she could go make the game that she wants and not bother with it anymore.
Yeah, I'm with Matt. I think, and my only problem with it is because of the other people. If let's talk about a solo adventure. Let's say if you're a writer and Hollywood comes to you with a truck full of money buying your novel. When you accept the money, you understand that novel is no longer, your novel stays the same, but what they do with your novel, you can hope that it's a good movie, but you have no control anymore. They gave you the money. Or you can say, nope, stay away. I don't want your truckload of money. I don't want my work being made into a movie that I'm not proud of. And my issue is, and I do think that this is coming from, a vision, my glasses of being in management. She's just so internally focused. It's about her. This goes back to the guy that was late because he was working all night, and when you were like, I don't think she owed an apology, or I think she did. Well, she doesn't care about people.
Well, my point was she didn't. I didn't necessarily say she didn't owe an apology. My point was that she didn't think of it because of the way her brain's wired. I'm not making an excuse for her to be rude. I'm just making. I just understand the techie type people. That they. They'll think of I should have apologized after the fact.
Yeah, and I think that's our same point. She's not thinking about them. It wasn't until they pointed out, till she went, oh my gosh, our friend, got beat up, and she was convinced. I mean, she was 100%. let's take a vote then, because this is the only guy that's going to want to vote. And she was shocked when that second guy said, yeah, I'd sell. I mean, she is stunned, and it actually takes a couple of seconds before she asks again. And because she just can't imagine anyone else thinking differently than her. And because it is so personal to her, right?
Right.
She does not recognize emotions in people at all. There's something wrong with her brain or something, because she does not recognize emotions in other people.
Credit to Mackenzie Davis. Obviously, they playing that role spot on for the type of person that is Cameron Howell. But I mean, we could probably go back and forth on this for a while.
And I agree, the actress is killing it.
Yeah.
And I think obviously this story, because if we just didn't care, we'd be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But we're really, I'm at first going, you have to take this deal. It's everything you want. But it's in only after the fact that I catch going, if it looks too good to be true, it is too good to be true. And so I think her reasons for turning it down were wrong, but it was the right decision. And it wasn't until afterwards when she said, when she makes the decision, I think now she is doing it the right thing. So we'll see what happens.
Kind of a little bit of up and down there with, originally, she's taking it very personal and saying, yeah, no, we're not taking the offer, and obviously given the mutiny speech and ripping it up and all that. But then as the episode progresses, the heartfelt discussion she had with Tom about being his mother being laid off, but yet she was visiting, still wearing her uniform. That's a very touching story, and I could see how that would affect her to, possibly change her tune, or at least think about it a little more.
Yeah, it would be, and I wasn't quite sure, with Tom sharing the story of his mom being a bad mom, right? The cupcake was because she could still,
feed him for under $1, I think it was.
Yeah, under $1, yeah.
Yeah.
Just how poor. And, someone recently asked on Quora about, can money really buy happiness? And I think the best answer I've ever heard for that is J.K. Rowling's, from Harry Potter fame. And someone asked her, what's the greatest thing about the success? And she said, not worrying about money. She goes, if you've ever had to worry about money, you understand how difficult that is. And this success has made it where I don't have to worry about money, and that is such a freedom that I can't explain. And everyone knows how poor she was. So I think, Tom is saying, I'm behind you. And notice Joe voted not to sell, right? He's like, hey, I'm Cameron's guy, and she's believed in me when I'm a 55-year-old convict that can't get a job. I just think it's pretty interesting.
Oh, you meant John.
Yeah, John. Thank you. I'm sorry.
So how did you guys feel about Joe sending the papers to Tom's mother?
It's just Joe being Joe. Just making every manipulative move he can make. He knew exactly what he was doing. He probably walked up on the house and like, oh, okay, I know how to play this.
I totally agree, Matt. That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, it is just a typical move, but he understands human nature. Like, I thought it was great that the gang is trying to put together the letter. Okay, wait a minute, now that the rah-rah's over, what did we turn down?
I'm with you. I think Joe was definitely playing Tom and trying to find the best angle that he could do to manipulate Tom to, in this case, turn Cameron That was the best move that he kind of did. And as I had been mentioning in the previous shows, he's, the chess player. So he's understanding, which levers to pull and manipulate people. What about Gordon when he was talking to everyone and then starts going as if he's still at Cardiff? That was kind of creepy.
Yeah, how about the scene before that one when Donna confronts him about going to California? That short little stutter that he did. I knew you had to go see somebody. I haven't been around. That short little stutter. I love that scene.
Yeah, they played that well.
And then her confessing to one of his coworkers to tell her if he notices anything wrong with Gordon.
Yeah, and that's so awkward because you're going, what should I be looking for? Yeah. What? They did a great job of showing you that he saw the Cardiff Electric box, which is what, got him off on that tangent. But very creepy, very scary. I got to tell you, Annette O'Toole, who I have professed my love for, is making me find her unattractive, this character she's playing. That is the worst mom ever. She starts bringing up, well, how about the time he dug a hole in your yard and he got on the wrong plane, and she's sipping her wine, and I wanted Donna to go, what am I supposed to do, Mom? We put him in a home? What is your answer?
She's got absolutely no love for Gordon
whatsoever. None whatsoever.
There wasn't a strong Donna story in this episode.
No, I don't think so. And I think what's kind of sad in a way, right, is that she's terminated the pregnancy.
Right.
And now then she is faced with, she can't even really grieve. She's thrown this, oh my goodness, this is what's happened. And then, the things going on at work. She's not having a good week, to put it lightly, right?
Right. But I mean, we had a very strong episode from her from the previous one, 10 Broad 36.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it almost seemed like she needed a week off to recoup from the previous week.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of good interaction going on between Joe, Cameron, and then Gordon starting off with his fledgling, Dell-ish company. And then John being John. John's always, being there and being the voice of reason. It still continues to be a very strong character throughout.
Yeah, and I continue to be. I just love John and his. He knew he was getting played. When he's at Joe's office, and it just so happens the billionaire, I got to get down to Houston. I don't have time, but I just wanted to meet you. We've been in the same circles for years, and I'm excited you're joining the team. I think there's a lot we could teach each other.
And we got a corner office just for you.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Yeah, they definitely seem like. How come I can't remember the character?
Jacob?
Yeah, Jacob and Joe. It almost seemed like they had, were working really well together to sell him on the concept.
Oh, they were working great together.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just completely planned, I think. But I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if he was just interrupting Joe, kind of stepping on Joe's toes a little bit. I couldn't tell if Joe was mad or not.
I think this was planned. I think this was all an organized courting. I think Joe sent the stuff, to Tom's house. I think they, had John come in and, doing the Jacob drive-by. I really do believe they're doing an all-out blitz because they want this company.
Yeah, I guess, if you looked at the perspective, Jacob obviously has been a businessman and, probably involved in those kind of dealings, for the lifeline of that company. Of course he's got to, do what he's got to do to get the best angle. And if that means, doing that drive-by and try to get a John Bosworth to be, as comfortable as he possibly could and possibly be talking up about, oh, we should be doing this deal, then I guess that makes sense. All right, so what is next? What are we missing here? We didn't talk about Joe and
the catfishing.
Yes, the catfishing. And I did not see that coming. And it was so sad. It was only the second time I watched this episode when they get the phone call, in the vote. At first, I'm not sure who they're talking about. And so then, on the rewatch, you go, oh, yeah, of course, it's him. And that's why he's, in the hospital. Just very sad. And we get a very weird story from Joe, right? About his locker. And I don't know why the kids decided to pick on him. I guess there's no reason or anything, but
because Joe's bisexual. That's why.
Okay, that's right. I forgot.
Oh, remember, Matt's got his encyclopedic knowledge of the.
Yes.
But nail on the head on that one.
Yeah.
To get the money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Very nice. I did not. Going over my head. Well to go. That's why.
Remember, there's a great episode in the first season where they stop the cat outside of Joe's hotel.
Yeah.
His old partner's there trying to convince him to go away with him, and Cameron drives off.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Dumb Jesse.
Joe comes running after the cab.
Yes. Very nice. How about awkward dinner, at the restaurant where they're going to tell her dad that they're breaking up and they don't do it? Wow. Worst dinner ever, right?
That was horrible. And then you could see why she was partly attracted to Joe at the same time, because they're both arguing about her, but they don't include her in the discussions at all.
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting that he's actually making Joe's argument, but Joe stops him and says, "Hey, I think that's a little bit unfair," So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I thought it's been a great evolution this season of Joe as a character, and I was really happy with the ending of this episode. And it just proved that he's actually a nice guy after all.
I thought the same thing. I mean, he told Cameron about, I did feel that way for you. I do feel it for Sarah. And he goes to her and says, basically, name what I got to do. Put the terms, which is kind of funny because last week, he put the terms to Mutiny to get this lower rate. And this time he tells her, you name it. What do I need to do to prove it? And marry me. Okay, done. No, I'm talking today. Okay. And in 2 weeks, we're in California. And he's like, okay, I don't think it's going to work out for him. But I love the idea that they at least tried, right? That he's ready to make this happen.
And that's still my reservation, because I'm so used to season 1 Joe. I can't accept season 2 Joe, of the guy that's telling Cameron, no, don't accept the deal. Or, I'm ready to drop everything and run away with you, Joe. I'm waiting for I've got the master plan, and here's how I'm, manipulating to be on top. But I want to believe in this Joe. I want to be, yes, he's changed, and yes, he's, following his heart, and he's doing what should be the right thing for Mutiny. I want to believe that that's what's happening, but I keep waiting for something to happen, and they're running out of episodes to do it. So, come on, AMC.
Yeah, and I like the fact that when he was talking to Cameron, he didn't say, I've already heard they're going to get rid of games. He doesn't tell them. He just says he's going to ruin it. He won't mean to, but he will. And I thought that was really a nice change. And you're right. That's the new Joe versus the old Joe, and it's a little strange.
Yeah, because the old Joe has been coming out. Once he started working for Jacob, the old Joe came out. And that's why he went behind Jacob's back and started up the servers and started selling out the servers and doing all this other stuff. That's the old Joe. Then after the dinner scene, after Sarah confronts him once again, going, I don't know who you are. This is not the man that I meant. Then suddenly it clicks on that what's wrong for him.
And I do think he wants to be. I think he likes the person he is with Sarah. And I think, it's the old thing about the scorpion on, the back of the frog, right? I can't, I can't fight my nature. But I think he is trying to, and he is open to moving on with her to try to make that happen.
I think Joe is our Admiral Eyebrows. That's a eunuchs in wolf's clothing. So I'm combining a couple episodes right there, but yes. I like I said, I'm waiting for something to happen. The shoe to drop.
Yes.
And I don't know, does that happen after the relationship with Sarah kind of just completely falls apart? I don't know, how that's going to end for the season. So I'm waiting. I'm patiently waiting.
Yeah, I agree. It is. It's very interesting, and I really like I said, as we talk about that, it's very, very cool.
Well, that's how they keep us hooked. So
yes, absolutely.
Good job on them.
Absolutely.
So is there anything else about the episode that we need to cover?
Let me look at my notes. Like I said, we kind of talked about earlier, this episode made me totally change minds. Until Jacob started talking about, we ought to get out of the game business, and, and him planning to interfere with the management of the company, I was 100% she should sell. And if she doesn't want to keep working for him, fine. She can always take her toys, take her money, and go start a new company, right? But after the fact, I was really happy with her saying, this is mine, this is what we're going to do, and basically, dropping the mic, right? Peace out.
Yeah, she just slams the door at the end, and let me make one thing clear. This is my company, and I'm not selling it.
Yeah.
So, a very strong way to end the episode, I think.
It was a surprising twist, I think, too, because we kept talking early on that this is the start of AOL, but turns out that it's not quite that way. Unless they're still going to try a hostile takeover somehow, but I don't see how that can happen since Cameron has 90% of the stock.
Yeah, unless there's some other card still up Joe's, sleeve that he's waiting to play.
Well, I don't think Joe's involved anymore. He quit.
Well, that's the way it looks, but I don't know. We have to see what happens with Joe. Do we have the final episodes of this season him off in California?
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. I just don't see that being drama. That's all. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, right?
Yep. It's definitely It's definitely got me curious.
I guess we should do our ratings for the episode. Now, are we using the Jesse method, or are we using the method that we talked about before?
We're gonna do. I'm gonna continue just for fun, do mine, but I give it the on our scale. Right, it's byte.
Byte,
Yes.
kilobyte, megabyte.
Right. So I give this one a megabyte. And I also give it 9 out of 10 black costumed Spider-Man action figures.
Darn, you took mine.
Darn! Okay, I'm going to give it 9 out of 10 coffee cups to put small screws in.
No, actually I have a backup, but go ahead.
Okay,
All right.
Okay, great.
All right, so that's pretty strong. Why?
I think the emotion, because this thing, I'm so upset with her for not taking the deal and for being selfish. And then you have we see that Gordon's health isn't even, in the midst of his success, right? They've got their first order. Someone is billed to order a PC. And, I love the shout out from the 4 people that used to be at Cardiff. They're like Tandy. I don't remember the other companies, but, they're pointing to Radio Shack, and I guess Radio Shack is Tandy, but, and then them actually making this work. Joe bearing his soul to Sarah, actually doing a good thing. I think it really worked. And John got to be John. I just think it was a really strong episode with a great beginning and a kick-butt ending.
Awesome. What about you, Matt? How do you feel about it?
Honestly, this is the best episode of the season. I'm going out with a 10 torn up offer sheets. Or 10 pieces of...
Nice!
10 torn up pieces of office sheet or whatever.
That's perfect. That's great.
This episode was pure magic, even up to the I couldn't even see the ending coming, to be honest. I didn't think Joe was going to flip around at the last minute and quit his job and tell Cameron not to sell, because the entire last couple weeks it's just been the old Joe.
Yeah,
and it was so refreshing to see him do that, and especially the scene with Tom and Cameron. Mm-hmm. That was such a great scene.
I totally agree.
Just go ahead. To have her throw and just totally ignore him, basically. She's got $5 million sitting on the table. She could take the money. She could give the money to him if she cared about him, but obviously she doesn't.
And I also think that there's been a couple of times when we said, "Oh, come on, move along the story," but all of this was built up. That to get this payoff was really good.
Yeah.
So, Dave, now that we've glowed, are you going to complete the set?
I actually am. I agree with you guys completely. I think it's a fantastic episode. On my scale, I would have given it, the top rating, which is a megabyte. So, since we all feel that way about it, it graduates to a gigabyte episode.
Yeah.
But as far as the other scale, I'm going to give it a 10. Wacky wall walkers.
Oh, nice.
So I feel strongly about it also, and that's because I'm such a big fan of the Cameron character. This had so much for her in this episode. My small little complaint about the episode is just that there wasn't a strong storyline for Donna. But after the previous episode, I understand that you had to move some other storylines along, and you couldn't just concentrate on the same character over and over again. So I love the Dell type look for what Gordon has going on. I could see the birth of the personal computer industry taking shape there, with all the cast of characters, which is why I signed in for the show, why I got excited about it. I just love the upped up drama and not knowing what's going to happen next. So that's just perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this was right. I mean, in a lot. I mean, everything that we've been wanting, and I think this has been a good season, and I'm not unhappy with it. But this is really coming on, and I guess we've got 2 to 3 more episodes left.
Yeah, there's only 10 episodes this season.
And this is episode 7. So
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. According to IMDb, we have Limbo, Cali, Heaven is a Place are the next 3. So,
ooh, Heaven is a Place. So
yes.
That
might die.
Yeah. That doesn't sound good. Uh-oh.
Is that going into the 80s? No, I don't think it'll jump that far. So, very nice.
No, I was just thinking hashtag save Gordon.
Yes. So, Matt, where can we find you?
We have to do one little shout out.
Oh, yes.
To a fan campaign to save Halt and Catch Fire.
Yes, I am so sorry.
But they wanted to send personal letters with ketchup stains on them.
Oh,
yeah, that's savehcf.blogspot.com. But yeah, you're right. So that ties into the episode 109 is what they're saying, where there's a glob of ketchup on the page that Cameron hands Joe about the demo speech for the Giant. And so that was their take on that, and asking fans to write letters to AMC networks to save Halt and Catch Fire, obviously.
Absolutely.
But the good news is, I just read today that they renewed Turn, which is another low-rated show. So there is hope for Halt and Catch Fire. But it still doesn't hurt to send everybody letters.
Yes, it does. And watch the show, tweet about the show, talk about the show. I have heard different people say that networks like buzz about their shows. If no one is talking about the show and then they're not getting press or they're not getting tweets, that they understand sometimes that ratings can be off a little bit, but buzz, is another thing. So talk about it, share it, tweet about it, and please tell people about our podcast and give us feedback.
Yeah, you definitely want to use hashtag SaveHCF if you're on Twitter.
Absolutely.
Use it often.
Indeed.
All right, so we're going back to where everybody can find each other. So,
absolutely.
Matt, what was your Twitter?
I'm on Twitter at MattMcLean73.
And Jesse?
I am at Jesse Jackson, DFW.
And I am taking care of the 80s Reboot account, so that's just at 80s Reboot.
And please, didn't you just have a very interesting episode drop?
Oh, are we talking about the 80s Reboot Overdrive?
Yes, we were. I just thought we'd give it a plug.
Oh, geez. Man, we're going to be talking for hours about that one.
No, I just was going to mention that we recorded an episode about 80s music, and it was a joy to record, and we have gotten so much feedback that you're going to have to do part 2. So after you send out your tweets about Halt and Catch Fire, save HCF, go back and listen to this episode. Go back to the episode if you haven't and listen, and enjoy a lot of great memories about 80s music.
Yeah, that's just called Top 3 80s Albums, or I think it's just called Top 3 Albums.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's co-host Jesse, Scott, myself, reminiscing about just a lot of great music, and we got a lot of great feedback via Twitter, and a lot of good shout-outs. So yeah, definitely check that out if you haven't already.
And I guess that's it. So we're going to Control-Alt-Delete and call this episode a wrap. Thank you for listening. Go to iTunes, rate and review us, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80s Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group.
You can follow us on Facebook on the 80s Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80s Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.